Bit pizza takes a little bit longer than I expected to munch. Right. So, I'm always Mute the Weirdo. Welcome back, guys. This is WWE 2K18 Universe Mode. We just had the Battleground pay-per-view. So if you haven't seen it, feel free to go back and watch and see what happened there. Now this is starting to piss me off about this game and generally just about the whole universe mode in general, right? I can only have 3 rivalries, right? Active. That's fine. But the WWE Championships, the titles, do not always get defended, right? Now, I'm trying to think of a way around this. And I'm thinking if we have a pay-per-view from each show, it might fix it on every month. So, we're going to fix it. Right. This month is not the month where we're going to fix it. I'm going to have SummerSlam, WrestleMania, Survivor Series and Royal Rumble. Right, so we got SummerSlam. Next one, SmackDown Raw. SmackDown Raw, okay. It looks fixed. November. Ooh, hang on. Oh. Yeah, I like it. Right. So it looks like it's already been fixed up like that. Right. So it is actually like that. Right. I can't remember what it was. Edge and Christian. Right. Right, and the main reason this is the problem, right, guys, is because when you get to a pay-per-view, the United States title's not on the line, the Intercontinental title's not on the line, or one of them is not on the line. One of the women's titles might be on the line, but the other one isn't. And then you've got, basically, I can't seem to have that control over everything. I can only have it over some things. And to me, we had control over everything a while ago on WWE Universe Mode. And we've gone backwards with the Universe Mode. And we've gone backwards because they don't focus on the gameplay. They don't focus on what content's in the game. They focus on the graphics. Now, I'm not being funny, and correct me if I'm wrong out there, people. This is something I hope that will instigate some serious debate in the comments. I think with wrestling games, we're being shortchanged year upon year upon year, and they don't actually give you anything extra. They just give you something in place of something else. They never add to games, they only take away and then replace. There's a difference. Now you see, we're getting better in terms of technology. Graphics is not something I am bothered about with a wrestling game. If it looked like, say, No Mercy or Warzone, then yeah, we might have a problem. But even then, they were good games. They had different premises, different times, different rules. Nowadays, the rule seems to be just tweak the game a little bit, put some new stuff in, take some old stuff out, and hype the graphics up to a maximum level. Well, sorry, but I need to be impressed. I do not need to be tattered up. Graphics do not appeal to me in a wrestling game. They look good, and if they were really shit, yeah, I'd be bothered. But there's no need in making that minor adjustment to the graphics and using all your memory and all your space and all your stuff on your disc or, you know, on your file, and then going, oh, well, we couldn't be bothered putting in 5-on-5 Survivor Series matchups, because although they're real and true to real wrestling, we can't be bothered, or we ain't got the time, or we ain't got the resources. Well, if you ain't got the resources, find out how to get the resources, because that is a major part, and wrestling needs 5-on-5 elimination matchups. It also needs, like in Raw, they had the ability to slide out of the ring in the Royal Rumble, pick up a weapon and take it in. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to do that. It doesn't happen in wrestling anymore, but it should be an option, because this, if you don't realise, is a game. And yes, Vince McMahon probably doesn't want it because it's not PG enough. Well, maybe that's why your ratings are falling, because as much as kids do love wrestling, I think the main reason kids loved wrestling in my day was because it was hardcore and because it was different and because it was brutal at times. They didn't love it because John Cena used to throw shirts into the crowd and say, never give up. No, they didn't. They loved it because it was brutal, and yeah, that's what you've got to focus on. You've got to focus on why they like it. And you've stopped doing that because you're too worried about what PC parents want. Well, you're a wrestling business. You're not supposed to be PC. That's my opinion. Take it or leave it, guys. We'll crack on with simulating Raw. Just like to show you what's going to go down tonight. I've got a match, right, that is basically me trying to build up an Intercontinental title picture, because unfortunately I don't have a rivalry for that at the minute. And Razor Ramon has still not given the Miz his rematch because the pay-per-views just don't work. Anyway, regardless, the Revival looking to get their opportunity at the tag titles. Not likely, considering every time a pay-per-view comes around, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins get the win. So, I will concede I'm a massive fan of the Revival, so I do hope they win. But, let's see what happens. There's also Brock Lesnar is going to show up tonight, and I think the main event might just be a bit of a doozy. So, we'll see what goes down. Boom. The Revival picking up an amazing win. They are now hell-bent on becoming the number one contenders. Clearly favourites to get the next title shot. Alexa Bliss fending off Nia Jax and Bayley in the triple threat match. Looking like she's going to be the next contender for Sasha Banks' WWE Women's title. And Sasha Banks has another contender to contend with in Trish, but with her being on a roll, the Hall of Famer just didn't cut the mustard tonight. And The Rock, I'm going to have to show Brock Lesnar how it's done in a promo yet again. We saw The Rock show up at Battleground and make his presence known. Again, this title hasn't been defended in a while. It's a bit ridiculous how Brock Lesnar is able to get away with this, as it is realistic, but it's not realistic for what I would do, because, as I said, I have seen him wrestle on Raw recently as well on my universe, and that's something I hope to keep in. If he wants to remain Universal Champion, he's going to have to play by my rules, not by Vince McMahon's rules. Obviously, Mark Henry picked up a win last Raw against Razor Ramon, and now he wants that Intercontinental title. He's going for that Intercontinental title. Razor Ramon, obviously the bad guy, showing him how to talk on the mic. No surprises. And Christian, dominant against Goldust and Curtis Axel, 3 former Intercontinental champions, looking at becoming the next number one contender. And now Cactus Jack fending off Bray Wyatt. What a beautiful main event that was. I just can't imagine how that would go down. Just two crazy people. Should have been an Extreme Rules match in all fairness, but got to keep it PG sometimes. So we're looking at some serious stuff going down. Rivalries. We got Revival and yeah, okay, tag team rivalry. That'd be cool. All right. So we're gonna have a look at the championships. Christian, boom, right up there in the contendership. Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman both in contention still for the Universal Championship, although it looks like The Rock might be the one who gets the next shot. They say the Revival still number one contenders, and Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax have both leapfrogged Bayley, and Trish Stratus has been leapfrogged by Lita. Paige still in there, Mickey James, Jacqueline, Emma, Summer Rae. I think Summer Rae might be in for a bit of a shake-up soon. I think we might have to make some changes on the Raw Women's roster. What I'm thinking of doing as well to bring in some more interest and to enable me to cherry pick and have more control over what goes on Raw and SmackDown is, and NXT to some extent as well, is obviously the draft. The draft, as far as I'm aware, the draft will happen after WrestleMania, but at any point after a pay-per-view, if someone, say for instance someone's on a losing streak or a really big winning streak, maybe discussions can be made between SmackDown and Raw, and we can maybe do some swaps. But at the minute, there's only one that I've got in mind already, but I need to do some tweaking. I need to do some downloading of characters as well to bring in, because I'm gonna possibly be starting a new faction, which might mean that I return to the original model of playing all the matches, or at least playing most of the matches. So we'll figure that out in due course. But that's it for Raw. Let's move on. Let's see what SmackDown has to offer. The Usos, the Natural Disasters, and Charlotte, the top 5 on the power rankings. How sweet is that for SmackDown? Our new SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Natural Disasters at the top there, Charlotte number 3, and then the Usos right behind, even on the rise, even losing the titles. Kevin Owens regaining his United States Championship, definitely up there. Right, let's have a look. Oh, Kevin Owens against Rikishi in the main event, in the opening match. Got him getting as bad as Michael Cole. And the Fashion Police against Natural Disasters. That's fair enough. And we've got a triple threat match: Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, and Dolph Ziggler. Becky Lynch against Charlotte. John Cena against Chris Jericho. That ties in quite nicely with what I'm about to what I've just mentioned about the new faction that I'm about to create. I wonder if anybody can guess, but we'll see if it plays out that way, because as I said, I'm simulating still. So if Chris Jericho or John Cena, Eddie Guerrero, Baron Corbin, who's, you know, that's going to play in maybe, but I'm creating a new faction. I will say one of the superstars of SmackDown who's on the card tonight is gonna be making the move to Raw in the near future, I believe, but we'll see if it happens sooner rather than later. What's the rivalries we got? Becky and Naomi, obviously. Charlotte and Natalya. All right, yeah, Eddie Guerrero, Baron Corbin, a rivalry, so that's why that's the main event. But that could be for the number contendership easily. In fact, let's show you where the rankings are. Yep, look, John Cena, Rob Van Dam, Baron Corbin, and Eddie Guerrero there as well. Right, so let's get cracking. See what happens. So we got Kevin Owens picking up the win. Obviously, the United States champion wants to start off with a win following his successful regaining of the United States title. Oh, and the Fashion Police putting down the Natural Disasters. Bit unexpected, but to be fair to the unknown and to the outside world, the Natural Disasters do seem just like two big blokes, just not really nothing special. And it, who knows, maybe the users distracted them. We got Shinsuke Nakamura, the WWE champion, not defending, but showing his skill, managing to fend off Ziggler and Styles, two of the best in my opinion. Becky Lynch, I wonder if Natalya had anything to do with that. And John Cena has won, and I can now confirm that that match was a loser leaves SmackDown match. The reason being, Chris Jericho is my guy. I've lined him up for big things on Raw, but he has now left SmackDown following that loss to John Cena. Obviously, in the real world, John Cena just goes wherever he pleases anyway, so it wouldn't have really worked in the real world. But Chris Jericho is packing his bags. He's going to leave his best friend Kevin Owens, or former best friend Kevin Owens, and they are going to he's going to head over to Raw, and stay tuned for what happens next with that one. And Baron Corbin picking up the win against Eddie Guerrero in the main event. So let's see if that does actually change Baron Corbin's position. No, but Kevin Owens gets above Eddie Guerrero, so that's interesting. John Cena's not rose or above for Van Dam, and DDP and Dolph Ziggler rising, even though I suppose it was AJ Styles who got pinned, so he might have gone. Well, but Breezango, there we go. So SmackDown finitoed, and we know Chris Jericho is heading to Raw now. So no NXT superstars in the top 5, all SmackDown. But Leo Rush is definitely on fire lately. Asuka kicking off against Ember Moon. Then we got the United Kingdom, and I always want to say United States, probably just not quite ingrained into me as much, against, I believe it's Alexander Wolf. Yes. I always, like, when it comes to sanity, I only really remember Eric Young, Killian Dane. They don't seem to give the other two, or in TV's case, the other one, much credit. So we've got this going on. I'm not a massive fan of Alexander Wolf. I might remove him from that match. Let's see what else we've got to work with. Bobby Roode against Hideo Itami. Velveteen Dream against Elias, which is one of the rivalries, and Leo Rush against Cassius Ohno. Again, another comment about Universe Mode. I feel like the rivalries last a long time. I'm the kind of guy who I like to play as a lot of different characters. I don't just pick the same guy for every match, so it can drag a little bit, in my opinion, and not a lot really goes on. I think that's part of the reason why rivalries are a bit weak, and I don't think they can change that. I think adding the FMV sequences is good, but because they're all so repetitive, it basically means that it's not good. So you might as well just take them out and have like little news text articles, because that works better. You can be more creative with that. You can have an infinite supply of that and not take up too much effort or hard work for the team, and you can focus more of your space that you've just gained on giving us more roster and giving us more better match types and stuff. But anyway, so this is what we've got. I'm gonna have to change this, but in order to change it, I'm gonna look at the United Kingdom Championship picture. I'm probably gonna make a triple threat match. I might make it a fatal four-way. Right. Okay. So, edit. We're actually going to have a 6-man battle royal, hopefully to determine the #1 contender for the United Kingdom title. But I'm not going to lie, the way this works could mean that people will change on their rankings on the NXT title rather than the UK title. So we'll put in who I want to put in. Oh, hang on. Let me see. Just seeing if there's anybody I can put in from there, but there isn't, not really. So Zack Sabre Jr. John Devlin. Oh. Right. I probably need to fix that. Apologies. I know it's not a big deal to a lot of people out there, and they just have everyone at max 100. But I don't see the point in that. Nobody's perfect. 100 over, that's not even happening. Not even for Roman Reigns. If Roman Reigns ain't 100 and Vince McMahon wants to constantly push him, then no one else is getting 100, are they? So let's be realistic here. So, what we got? I will put in Pete Dunne. I'll put in Tyler Bate. I'll put in Danny Burch. Right. So now I'm looking for NXT guys. Or, better yet, let's not limit it to NXT guys, because there could be some guys that we can give a chance here. Don't want Enzo, actually. Right, so that is our Battle Royal. The British Bulldog making his second attempt at capturing the UK title here on NXT. He's shown up. He's been given the opportunity as a draw for NXT crowd, bringing some proper British legend there for you to well, obviously not see in action, but we'll see what happens. See if he actually comes off with a win. Obviously, I wanted to give John Devlin a shot at this number one contendership battle royal, but I'm gonna need to tweak his stats because somebody's created a 100%er, and I don't like him. I don't see the point. I mean, these are all reasonable stats. I mean, yeah, Tyler Bate for me is a little bit high. He's only young. He's got time to develop and grow. Again, Danny Burch a little bit high. In fact, probably quite a lot high. So I might knock these down over time. But for the time being, just gonna have to let John Devlin sit out as a 100er. And yeah, so this is our. I don't think it's our main event, but this is one of our better matches here. And we got Jack Gallagher coming over and British Bulldog coming over for that. So yeah, there's a few matches after it. It's a second match, I think. Yeah, it's a second match. It's pretty cool. Right, so as I said, the format at the minute, and if anybody wants me to revert to the playing the matches all the time, or if they think this is really good and to stick at this, to let me know in the comments on the video, because basically I did this simulate thing to try and speed things along, and basically still include some wrestling when I get to the pay-per-views, including NXT pay-per-view as well. So but yeah, so we'll simulate and see what happens. I think it's fair to say that Tyler Bate might end up winning that Battle Royal because of his stats being a lot higher. But hey, who knows? So we got Asuka picking up the win. We got Danny Burch. Oh my god. Danny Burch picking up the win in the Battle Royal. Now, Tyler Bate was the last one to be eliminated, so we do know that it's gone with the two highest over this. Bobby Roode beats Utami. Elias getting another match win over his rival Velveteen Dream. I've got some stuck in my nose. And Leo Rush rocketing. I wouldn't be surprised if that guy is number one on the power rankings. He is just rocking it. And that is NXT. And as I said, with that, that's another week done. Let's actually look at the rivalries. There's nothing on standby. I think that's mainly because I keep doing matches that are like multiple guys. There haven't really been a lot of tag team action going on. I might have to invest in some more wrestlers for NXT for tag teams. Just broaden the horizons of the roster. As I said, big things on the horizon. A new faction is going to be born in the very near future on Raw, and I'm looking at basically bringing in some new guys to NXT as well. Again, the way the draft works, I'm thinking I will still have the traditional draft, but for NXT guys, I will pick one guy and one girl from each, from one guy and one girl for each draft to come up, and that way it doesn't get rid of all the NXT talent. And there might be some guys who I don't use that often, or some guys who are a little bit lower on the roster for SmackDown and Raw who drop down to NXT to give it a bit more flavour. But that's way in the future. All I want to do now is look at the power rankings. I don't think anything will have changed yet. No, it hasn't. But what's Leo Rush's show everyone what I'm made of. So he's probably going to pick up some serious wins. Let's skip it on. And we're going to head into the next week. Right, so the power rankings have changed because we've got The Rock. And whoa there, what did I tell you? Leo Rush rockets to the top. Asuka is up there as well. The Rock has just shown Brock Lesnar who's boss as far as promos goes. And the Revival picking up the win over the tag team champions, Raw tag team champions, has basically rocketed them up. Razor Ramon holding his own against Mark Henry has been pretty good for him, but the biggest story, as I said, is that Lio Rush is rocking it up the top. And the biggest drop, Typhoon. But anyway, let's see the top 25. No, nobody amazing. Right, Elias is up there. Yeah, he's moving up. But as I said, we're looking at Raw, SmackDown, and NXT next round. But I want to make these changes, sort this faction out before I so anyway, I've been Always Mute the Weirdo. This has been WWE 2K18 Universe Mode, and I hope you're enjoying it. If you are, please do drop us a like. Please do, if you haven't already, please follow. It'd be great to have that support, and you'll find out when I'm next streaming. If you want to be involved in the live action or the live storytelling of my universe mode, and if not, you can always catch it on replay, and then leave a comment. It's great. It's always a pleasure. I'll see you in the next one in a bit.